The real life version of a trust fall. You know,
Right,
like you
yes.
know they are going to catch you no matter what.
You're listening to the Dare to Be Different podcast, a podcast for people who want to live an extraordinary life. On this week's episode, Joe and Ed talk about how to have friends with benefits. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Dare to Be Different podcast. My name is Joe Altieri. I am here with my co-host, Ed Newell, who is actually just getting Nicholas on board with the countdown clock here so we don't run too long. You got it, Nicholas? Awesome. How you doing, Ed?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. So both of us had like, I don't want to say bad days, but challenging days today. So, but you did get a tropical smoothie from right up the street here.
You know what? I'm a big fan of tropical smoothie. If you want to sponsor this podcast, we would love to have you.
We would love the tropical smoothie. They don't even have to do money. Just give us free smoothies every day, and we will.
And we will put a commercial for you in the middle of every podcast. I would love to do that.
So actually, leave that back because this is going to lead into our topic of the day. So a couple weeks ago, Tropical Smoothie opened up a local branch right up the street from my office.
Right. And if you're not familiar, it's a national smoothie chain. It's primarily in the South. I don't know how far west it is, but we're on the East Coast, so it started to come north and recently got into Pennsylvania.
Right. And I had never even heard of it until you came in to do a podcast and you informed all of us that the local place was doing this special where if you were there on the opening day at the opening time, the first handful of people would get free smoothies for a year.
That's right.
Right? So the entire staff got all excited about it until they realized that they would have to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning to beat the crowds.
Yeah, it opened at 7, so it wasn't too crazy, but you had to be one of the first 50 people in line,
right?
Which that's a lot of people.
That is.
But you still got to get there early enough to make sure you can do it.
So I agreed to do it, right? Because hey, this would be fun,
right?
Something different to do. But I did not wake up that morning. I completely forgot about it. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to happen, whatever the case may be, until I get the 5 a.m. text from you saying, I'm the first person in line. No one else is here, kind of text, right?
That's right.
And so I immediately, I jumped up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to shower up. I'll be there. So I was there by 5:30 or so.
Yeah.
Right? By that time, your wife had showed up.
Yeah.
A couple of the staff members, you know, and we got smoothies for a year. One smoothie a week for a year.
Right.
And it has turned into my family absolutely loves it.
Good. I'm glad. I've converted you.
You have converted me. But today we're going to talk about friendship. And I thought it was interesting because there's very few people that could get me out of bed, early in the morning, and it was cold too. It was 50 degrees outside, 40-something degrees.
No, it was 26 degrees.
Was it that cold?
It was freezing.
Okay.
And we were waiting for a smoothie.
So there's very few people in this world that can get me out of bed at out of the house before 5:30 in the morning to go stand in line at 26 degrees for a smoothie, but you were able to do it.
I appreciate that I'm one of them.
I think you are the one, to be honest with you.
Here's the thing. You should feel valued by me because I even told you about the promotion at all.
I do.
I was nervous to tell people because I didn't want the word to get out.
And suddenly there's this big, now you're competing.
Right. I felt like there might have been not adequate promotion for the event that was happening. So I thought, okay, I'm locking in my chance for this free smoothie for a year. So by telling you and some of your staff, I really felt like that was, me bringing value to the table, bringing friendship to the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of led me into this thing so there are, and again, the irony of you bringing one in without bringing me one, by the way, did not bring me a smoothie. But the irony of you bringing this in, as we're going to talk about friendship today, was not lost on me. And I thought it was a great segue into our topic.
Well, the thing is, I only get one free one a year.
I know.
Or a week. I mean, I wasn't going to use a free thing on you because you already have your own card thanks to me.
This is true.
Yes.
So
I got you 52 free smoothies.
That would have taken our friendship to a whole nother level if you used one of your free ones on me. That's fine.
That would be something.
But you and I have been friends for a very long time.
Yes.
Man, it's been a quite a while, 10 years, at least.
Yep.
And I consider you a very close friend.
Yep.
And I was thinking about, for people that want to have our podcast is all about having a different type of life, an extraordinary life.
Yeah.
And one of the big things, it's great to work on us as people and say, hey, this is what I need to do to have an extraordinary life. Here's the things that I want to achieve, blah, 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 all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is you have to have relationships to have an extraordinary life. We're not meant to live life alone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think in order to live an extraordinary life, I think you need people on your side, in your corner, people that you feel like you can rely on and trust in. And I think there's studies all the time coming out where the majority of people are saying they don't feel like they have close friends. They don't feel like they have people they can count on, they can trust, and they can rely on. The statistics of people that feel alone. The statistics of suicide rates that continue to climb, primarily because maybe people feel like I don't have anyone to turn to, or I don't have anywhere to go. And you would think maybe social media would help make us more connected in ways it has, but in other ways it's continued to isolate individuals. And I think for a large degree, and you got some daughters maybe in this world, my kids are still younger, but I think it's proven social media and texting and all this ability to communicate might have actually made it more difficult for people to create relationships. And so even as younger millennials and then Gen Z, as they're coming up, I wonder if they're finding it just as difficult or more difficult to really find good friends.
That close friendships, those relationships that are more than words on a screen.
That's right. Right.
And it is interesting because that is a big it's a big push. One of the companies that I own is a social media marketing company. It's a digital marketing company.
Right.
And so we love social media. But the fact of the matter is we are much more connected as a society. You can have relationships with people across the world that you never would have had any contact with.
Right.
But we're also lonelier as a society.
Right.
And so, and I think that we will explore this further in the future, like how to gain friends and how to have closer relationships. Today, I just want to talk about the type of friends that I think, or we can talk about this, but these are the ones that I think you need in your life. The types of friends that you need to have in your life.
Right.
And I look at this from a personal perspective because these are the type of friendships that I either have or I long for. So, that's good. So the first one is a loyal best friend. And this one is the traditional, BFF type of person, right?
Right.
I know that there's this thing, a good friend will bail you out of jail. Your best friend will help you hide the body, that kind of thing.
Right.
And that's the type of friendship that I'm talking about. That, that non-judgmental. Anything that you say to them, they're just going to accept you for what you are. Like literally, you cannot shock them anymore.
Right. Yeah, and I think this one in particular, I think is one that I think a lot of people might feel. I'm not sure I have that. People might say, I don't know if I would have the type of person that wouldn't judge me no matter what I call them up and tell them. Mm-hmm. And so for a lot of people, I think to have the loyal best friend, it's a rarity. And I have a lot of like really, really great friends, like really, really great.
And what do you mean? Because close friends?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I have like the single most loyal best friend. Maybe my spouse. I would consider my spouse that.
Yeah.
But
let's set the spouses aside.
Spouse aside.
So, this is like
you're out.
Yeah. Yes. Honey, I love you. And I do consider my wife to be my best friend. But I'm talking about
she ain't listening.
She listens to every single podcast because she criticizes the things that I do wrong. But
great.
No, but this is outside of a spousal relationship.
Okay.
This is a, again, traditionally this would be two guys, two girls, what I mean? Like and my wife, I'm a little jealous. She has two friends that are this type of friendship.
Wow.
That they are, they go back, 12, 15 years, and they might have ebbs and flows of their contact and stuff like that, but they literally pick up right where they left off every time they get together, and they know everything about each other's lives, and there is no taboo subject.
Wow.
And man, that's something to be jealous. It really is, and it's a good jealousy. I don't mean that like I don't want her to have that type of relationship,
Right.
that type of jealousy. This is truly, man, I wish I could have that.
Yeah, and I think the challenge to getting there, and this isn't really the point of this episode, but I think the challenge to getting there is you have to pursue it.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times when you feel like I'm in a place, well, I don't know if I have that, or I'm not sure that's in my life, that's somebody I can rely on, you have to be intentional about it. And that's going to be true for a lot of these friends, as we're talking about them, types of friendships. But I think people have the understanding that if I want a successful, intimate relationship with somebody, if I want to get married one day, if you're dating somebody, you have to work on it. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes marriages fail because people forget, I have to work at this. With friendship, I think people don't quite have the mentality that I have to work to pursue this friendship. Like, I have to build it. I have to invest in it. I have to make sure it is what I want it to be. A lot of that is, I think, is in our developmental years, we spend so much time in school and activities and things. Friendships can naturally form, mm-hmm. but then you get older and you want to be away from people as much as possible.
Like, I just want to be in my pajamas watching Netflix a lot of times.
Exactly.
Right?
And so if you actually want a friendship, you have to pursue it. And you have to go out. You have to go out of your way to make sure that you have that. You might have some colleagues and things that you can develop really close friendships with and whatever, but to actually get the loyal best friend, that person you can count on no matter what, the guy or girl that's going to help you hide the body, mm-hmm. That's not going to judge you, to get that to that level, you have to pursue it. And actually, one of the ways I think you have to pursue it is to be vulnerable.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That was actually the same exact thing that I was thinking. So we're going to talk about this more and more, because my word of the year for 2020 is vulnerable. And I think that is a huge piece of this loyal best friend puzzle that people simply aren't willing to make that step.
Wow.
Are you willing to show your weakness, to show your shortcomings, your emotions that you want to hide from the world? Are you willing to actually make that step and show somebody that, knowing that they could leave your life if you've just completely shocked them?
Right.
So.
Yeah, I've heard this said about marriages, but I think this is true for a loyal best friend too. If you're looking maybe for the right one, instead focus on like being the right one.
Right.
And if you want a loyal best friend, focus on being a loyal best friend. And I think you can pretty quickly identify maybe some of the people in your life that maybe you'd like to have a closer relationship with, or someone that you want to spend more time around, or someone that you feel like you just get along with. So pursue it. Ask them to go get a coffee. I mean, it honestly, pursuing a deep friendship is not much different than pursuing a dating relationship.
Sure. And the other side of it too is you have to be okay with that person being vulnerable to you.
Yeah.
Which is the other side of it. So there's a lot of people that simply don't want somebody else's baggage. They're
Right.
not willing to deal with it. And,
Right.
and if you have that type of friendship, that comes along with it.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think that the positives way outweigh the negatives of having that type of relationship. I think that this is something that your life will change, both internally and externally, if you have somebody like this in your life.
Absolutely, because you're going to feel like you have someone on your side. When things are going well or things are not going well, you really feel like you got this person that's going to be there for you no matter what. It's like the real life version of a trust fall,
right,
like
yes.
They are going to catch you no matter what. And that's important. I think it does something even just to your mindset and the way you think about who you are in your life, and the value that you even have in your own soul. I think a lot of it just comes from the relationships you have,
I feel like I need a hug after this one.
We'll have a big group hug.
So the second one, and I feel that in some ways you fall into this with for me, is the fearless adventurer. Like,
wow.
That's the type of friend. Not that you and I aren't really good friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that you, for me, take me out of my comfort zone sometimes.
Wow.
The getting out of the house when it's 27 degrees out and finding, going to stand in line for smoothies.
Yeah.
And I have some other friends like this too that are willing to pull you out of your day-to-day.
Yeah.
Right? So they're the ones that say, "Hey, let's get in a car and just drive until we don't want to drive anymore and see what we can find."
Isn't it easier to be a fearless adventurer or have a fearless adventure friend when you don't have kids?
It is, unless you're very, very purposeful about
Yeah.
it.
I'm not sure if I can name someone in my life right now that totally reminds me of this. To this day, I mean, I have had these types of friends, especially growing up. I would like to think that I was one of these people, and would be very, very spontaneous in just things I was doing or how I was spending money or wanting to go do something adventurous. But I feel like I don't do it as much anymore, and the most fearless thing I do is get up at 5 a.m. to go get a smoothie.
Yeah, so. I'm not saying that we go on huge adventures, but I have a friend, and I don't want to call him out by name, Jason Tost.
Okay,
but he is one of those guys that just does, like, he'll come up with.
Yeah, he is.
He'll just. We went. We did an overnight bicycling trip with a bunch of other guys a couple years ago. Primarily he said, "Hey, let's do this." And we're like, "Well, I have a bike." Okay.
Right.
And we, we went, I don't know, it was like 70 miles or something like that, camped overnight and everything off of a bike. No way possible would I have done that on my own.
Right.
And
that's good.
But the fact of the matter that when he proposed it and I agreed to it, now I'm committed. Right. And it was a blast. I mean, we have like amazing memories based off the fact that he was willing to, pull us along.
Yeah. I guess talking about myself, whenever my wife and I get to go on trips by ourselves, this is totally us. Like, we love exploring, love trying new things, going new places, exploring new cities. We're not necessarily the type of people that might have an itinerary on a trip, but also not the type of people that just totally want to wing it. We will have an idea of these things we want to do, and we will set out to explore an adventure and make sure that it's something that's going to be memorable for us. Even, last week we were in Florida and taking our 2 and 4-year-old to Disney. That's a fearless adventure, right? And so, I mean, I think we have some of that inside of us, but I think when you do that, I'm definitely more so than my wife, and I pulled her along. And I think both of us would probably say we've had some experiences or adventures because the other one caused that to happen in our lives. One of your employees, a few years ago, it's like I wanted to go sit outside and wait for the new iPhone, so he's coming, right? So it's like there's just experiences that you want to do, and you can pull people along, and it just allows you to have somebody with you. You have friendship, and if you're the person that has that friend, man, it, like you said, allows you to have experiences that you otherwise would not have unless you had this type of person in your life.
Yeah, and sometimes I think that innately most people want to have adventures. They want to explore outside of their little bubble. They just lack the confidence to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that having this type of friend gives us that confidence to go out and try something different. Even a lot of times adventurous people, that they pull people along into adventures that they've already had. You know what I mean? So they have a little bit of experience with something. Jason had done overnight trips and camping and all that stuff before, and so it wasn't, I felt much more comfortable doing that with him on this bike ride.
Yeah.
Right.
Your definition that you had in our notes here is someone that also can introduce you to new ideas, cultures, philosophies, or activities. So
yes,
we've mainly been talking about as far as activities.
Activities, correct. But it is much bigger, right?
Yeah.
So there it's just people that have, again, new ideas. It could be, trying something. I always come back to the adventurous or the activities, because it's, to me, that's the thing where I don't want to say struggle with, but that's the thing that is most appealing to me.
Sure.
Is having those new things.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that that's the only thing.
I have a friend who it's because of his adventures that he has this, but I mean he's traveled all over the world. He's my age, but he's traveled all over the world at this point. And so when I am with him or we're eating or talking or whatever, he's always going to be bringing something new to the conversation that is going to be totally foreign to me, and it's usually very insightful and interesting. So he's always bringing new cultural concepts to my conversations, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. So again, look for that type of person. That you will have some of the best stories of your life if you have a fearless adventurer friend in your corner. So the third one is a brutally honest confidant. So this is I'm just going to tell you how it is type of friend.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Well, in our last podcast we did together, we were talking about the difference between honesty and truth. And I think this person has to be able to navigate that well for you. They need to be able to tell you what you need to hear, but they have to tell you it in a way that you're going to receive it. Typically, some people think they might have this right to tell you some things in your life, and if you don't have that relationship with them, you push that person away, and you're like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be around that person. And it might even have been true. They might even saw something that was real. But if you don't have an actual close relationship with them, no matter what they say, you might reject it. But to actually have somebody who can tell you something, even when it's difficult, even when it's not easy to hear, that's going to make you better or really maybe help pull you out of a situation or circumstance you shouldn't be in, it's powerful.
It really is. And especially because we become blind to our own situations a lot of times.
Yeah.
And, we can justify things. I mean, humans
That's
are
so good.
amazing at self-justification.
Right.
I'm in this situation because, and I have no choice but, or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
And typically friends don't want to offend you.
Right.
So they, and this is going to sound strong, but they allow you to stay in a situation, even though they can see, that guy that you're dating is terrible for you. It's been 6 times you guys have broken up over and over and over again, but I don't want to tell you that truth because that truth is going to hurt. This person is, again, it's going to sting, but they're willing to have that conversation. They do it in love,
Right.
but they're still willing to have that conversation.
That's really good, because something you just said about how it's so much easier to maybe see things in somebody else than to see it in yourself. And that doesn't mean you're better than that person, because you got your own stuff that hopefully they see in you. But that's one of the reasons, as you said in the beginning, why we shouldn't do life alone. We shouldn't do this journey of life alone. We need some people on our side, because we are going to have blind spots. We are going to have things that, man, we just become a little numb to, or a bad habit that we've fallen into that we don't even see. I love that you said your wife listens to all your episodes to you joked like, say what you're doing wrong, but she loves you, and she probably is listening because she wants to help you get better, right?
Sure, that's why.
That was a setup for a joke.
There's so many. I'm not sure how to.
Yeah.
But you are right though. That's there are people in our lives that we can receive criticism from, and also along with having this friend, you have to be willing to receive that criticism or that honesty.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's tough.
Yeah, it is. And when you have that person, and we're talking about these as if they're all different people.
Yeah,
the
you
loyal
can have
best
people that are a
friend,
combination of some of these.
If you're gonna have someone that's the brutally honest confident that you actually are gonna trust in and actually gonna be able to hear from and receive it from, it's gonna be someone that you have a deep, meaningful relationship with. It's not gonna be some surface level person. It's gonna be someone that you've invested time into. They've invested time into you. They've been there for you. You've been there for them. And it allows this opportunity for these conversations to happen, and they should be fruitful for you if you receive it from somebody.
Yeah, and there are too. There are some friends that they might be like we'll call it like middle friendship. They're not necessarily that, but they also still like they say the honest thing. Like
Yeah.
what was the acapella, the movie with the acapella group, the girls? We just watched it the other day. A movie.
Oh, Pitch Perfect?
Pitch Perfect. And you
Yeah.
have, what is it, Fat Amy or something
Yeah.
like that? Who's that person
Right.
in that group where she just
Right.
says the whatever is honest.
Yep.
And again, sometimes just having that person that just
Yeah.
calls us out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be something deep, but oh, you're really wearing those shoes? That kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure you have people in your life that always talk about your shoes and stuff.
all the time. No, yeah, that's good.
So this is the next one is probably not your BFF. This probably is a little bit of a different category of friend, but I also do think that this is a friend that every person needs in their life, and it's the wise mentor.
Right. This is huge. This is so important, and you can have multiple wise mentors.
Absolutely.
And
But
honestly,
you should have at least one.
Yeah, at least one. And all this person has to be is somebody that when you look at their life, it just seems like they're a little bit farther down the road than you are. And they've probably had some experiences you haven't. They've done this journey of life just a little bit longer, and they're going to be able to speak wisdom into your circumstances. Having multiple ones just allows you to you might have one for business, you might have one for a personal relationship, maybe you have one for how to handle financial situations, you know. But if you want to improve a certain area of your life, I think the number one thing you can honestly do is try to find somebody that's already doing that well and just try to form a relationship with that person.
Right. And again, this takes work because typically these types of relationships in a lot of ways become one-sided, where it becomes, I'm getting more because you're mentoring me than I'm giving back to you.
Right.
And so that actually takes some desire to have that type of relationship and to keep that going, because a lot of times, and I think of this from the business world, I have mentors in my life, and I have to make sure that I'm continually trying to bring some value to that relationship because I'm getting so much from them.
Yeah.
And I want to give something back because, it's important that there has to be a two-way street for a relationship. And in these types of relationships, it can become so lopsided that the mentor, falls away in some ways. So,
For some of the small opportunities that I maybe have to mentor some people, I really find a lot of value when I'm in the position of the mentor to see success come to that individual.
Sure.
And so if I see, they are doing the things that we talk about, or they're following the instructions that I've given them, or I see them advancing in the area that we're talking about, that is what honestly brings value to me as a mentor. So if you achieve a mentorship with somebody, just do what they tell you to do. Because I think that's going to bring so much value to them. They're going to feel like you're not a waste of their time.
Well, and yes, that there's definitely the do what they're suggesting, or a version of what they're suggesting. I'm not saying, go and get them smoothies every day, or use one of your free smoothies for your mentor or anything.
I wouldn't do that.
But I'm talking about, go back and say, you suggested this, and this is the impact it's had on my life. That brings value to that person.
That's really good.
That is, and that could be absolutely anything, but that's just a small version of bringing value back to someone. You don't have to give them money. You don't have to do any of those types of things, but somehow enriching their life in some way becomes really, really important.
Yeah. I've heard it said that if you show me your 5 closest relationships, I'll show you where your life's going to go. Mm-hmm. And it's such a true statement to know the people that you spend time around, the people that you choose to be in relationship with. And this is true for any of these categories. Your life is going to reflect them. So if you spend time around people that manage money poorly, you're probably going to manage your money poorly. If you spend time around people that don't work out, you're probably not working out. If you spend time around people that go out to bars every night, you're probably going out to bars every night. If you want to advance in some areas of your life, get around some people who are farther down the road than you. Find a mentor. Find somebody that can invest, and make that one of your closest relationships. It will rub off on you.
It will. And to your point, we probably should have started that talking about the five closest people, and that's what your life. That's a good way of if we had to do this over, if we could go back 25 minutes. But it is the truth.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads us into the exception that proves the rule here with that statement. Is the fifth one is a person who is the polar opposite of you.
Yeah.
And I think that is the big equalizer when it comes to relationships, because we as people want to be around other people that are like us. So if I'm overweight, I want to be around other people that are overweight because I get justification, whatever the case may be. If I handle my money poorly, I can be around a lot of other people that handle their money poorly. If I'm a certain culture, right, I can, if I'm around only people that are of my culture, I can have some, whatever my perceptions of another culture are, they can be strengthened rather than possibly eliminated by getting around somebody else. So
yeah. I think about it a lot as far as if you position yourself around people that are only like you really can fall into traps of a blind spot that not only is affecting you, but might be affecting all the people you're spending time around. Getting around people who are different than you is just going to make you a greater, more well-rounded human. It might help break some prejudices you can have. It might help you to see things from a different angle. You shouldn't only spend time with the people that are in the same political affiliation as you. And I mean, I think there's so much to this that it's not about you being with that opposite person because just because we're saying it's on the list, or you need to have a counterbalance in your life. It really is saying, hey, if you want to go on this journey of life to live life extraordinarily, put yourself in some situations that might be somewhat uncomfortable. Get around people that don't think exactly the same as you, that don't see things exactly the same, and just be friends with them. And I think you'll come to find that they're going to bring a lot of value to your life in the way that you live, in the way that you see the world. Absolutely.
And that is the point. This being comfortable is not the goal of life.
Right.
At least as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
The goal of life is to live life. And the fact of the matter is, the more experiences that we have, the more life that we will live during the time that we're here.
Right.
And so if we're around the same people, we are simply going to have the same types of relationships or the same types of experiences that we've always had.
That's good.
So this is a big one. This is probably the most challenging of all of them, because everything else is, a lot of it's about me, right? It's about me. It's about me. It's about me.
Right.
This is something that, to have somebody that's completely the opposite of you, in some ways it has to become about them and about what their experiences are and what their life is like.
Yeah.
And becoming a part of that.
Yeah.
Which is uncomfortable.
It's a humbling experience to say, I might not be 100% right in everything that I believe or do, and that you might be right in some of the things you believe and are doing. And again, there's probably not a right or wrong answer to a lot of this stuff, but it's just about humbling yourself, putting yourself in that position to learn from someone that just is going to be different from you. Grew up in a different culture, different mindset, different time, maybe different era, and learning from that.
Yeah, and there is nothing wrong with saying, I don't agree with your stance on this, but we can agree to disagree.
Right.
We don't have to fight about it. We don't have to debate it. It doesn't have to be. I saw a bunch of stuff about Thanksgiving where families get into fistfights talking about politics at Thanksgiving table.
Yeah.
And that happens with friendships too. And so this is about saying, hey, we love each other. We're committed to having a relationship, even though these things are different in our lives.
Right. Yeah, that's good. The polar opposite.
Polar opposite, yes. So just to round this up, because we're out of time, this whole podcast is about having great relationships and living an exceptional life through those relationships.
Right.
And I think that this is one of those important, really, really important subjects that, man, to live a different type of life, you have to have good friendships.
Yeah, and just to encourage everyone listening, if you are in your life and you feel like you don't have these types of relationships, go out and pursue them. We talked a little bit about it here. Maybe we can do another episode on what this even means, but go out and pursue them, invest in them, find someone that you want to be close to, and you actually pursue that relationship in the same sort of mindset that you might pursue a dating relationship or an intimate relationship. Pursue a friendship with that individual, and I think you'll find blessing in that.
Yeah, the best way to find friends is to be friendly. I'd heard that once, and I really like it.
I like it.
So until next time, thank you so much for being part of the Dare to Be Different family and listening to the Dare to Be Different podcast. If you know somebody that needs some friends, send this to them. So thank you. Until next week, we love you. Have a great day.